the United States is getting closer to a war. What is happening right now is that another country continues to attack the United States and our allies. And the U.S., according to reports, cannot stand for this. We have to respond. And when we respond, it's going to be an airstrike. That is what we're hearing. Now, today's video, I'm going to explain exactly what is happening, how this is potentially going to impact us here on U.S. soil, and what this means moving forward. So all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoyed these daily updates. And now, let's begin. Now, I have talked about this in the past where multiple Pentagon officials and White House officials have said that they do not agree with what President Biden has been doing. When President Biden says we need to go and attack and do an airstrike on a ammo dump, on bunkers, on vacant buildings, these Pentagon officials and White House officials are saying that that might not be enough. Because what we continue to see, and this has happened ever since October 7th, or actually October 17th, this is when Iran decided they were going to go and start attacking Gaza and do ground troops. Ever since then, we have had over 76 attacks against U.S. troops in Syria and in Iraq. There has been more than 60 people injured because of this. However, luckily, we have not seen one loss of life. However, experts are now saying that this cannot continue because eventually somebody will lose their life. So, here's what we're hearing at this time. The military is there. They are there. They are ready. They have been prepped. But President Biden is sitting back waiting because he doesn't want to be the first one to escalate the situation. Based off what White House reporters are saying is that President Biden doesn't want to be the first one to cause loss of life between the United States and Iran. If the United States is the first one to cause any loss of life, Iran is going to respond much bigger than what the United States would have done. So this is a concern. The concern is that Iran has to attack the United States first, which they already are, but when one of their attacks causes a single loss of life, then the United States will respond and they will show Iran the power behind the U.S. military. Now, the problem with this is that we are waiting for a loss of life. That's the concern. So what we are hearing from Pentagon officials, and mostly that do not want to be named, is that the United States must strike Iran to protect the American people. How crazy is that? I want to show you something. Because the reason why Iran continues to hit U.S. military bases and some troops, and they're using drones to do this. The drones are flying in. There's some type of explosive on it, and they blow it up near the compounds or near the personnel, and that's causing injuries. However, not a loss of life. But the reason why Iran is doing this is because they are telling the United States that we need to tell Israel that they need to agree to a ceasefire, a permanent ceasefire. But at this time, we still have 150 men, we have 2 children, and we have 20 women that are still in captivity by Hamas. And according to the Israeli defense minister, they're predicting 2 more months of war, then a mop-up. Because they want to take out pockets of terrorist resistance. That is their goal. They want to end Hamas. Now, whether or not this happens, I don't know. But what I do know is that in the meantime, as this war drags on, the United States is getting pulled deeper and deeper into this. For instance, look at this. says U.S. military in talks to escort commercial ships in the Red Sea amid attacks from Iranian-backed militants. Yes, the United States is going to act as your security guard, your escort to get you through the Red Sea. That's what we are talking about at this time. Again, this is a report from this morning. See right there, Thursday, December 7th. It's from this morning. That's where talks are headed. The United States is going to be the security guard. Okay? Again, this is a war that the United States is not in. However, we keep being pulled further and further in, and this is exactly what Iran didn't want. But it doesn't stop with Iran, and this is part of the problem. The U.S. military knows that they have to do something. The Pentagon understands that more has to be done. The Biden administration understands that his job isn't finished. Well, even John Kirby, okay, he's the national security spokesperson here for the United States, he had something to say. Look at this. He says, if you think the price is high now, Kirby outlines price U.S. will pay if Ukraine loses the war. If Ukraine, and again, this is where things get very, very complicated. We have to support Ukraine because Russia cannot win this war. Yet we are supporting Israel because we say Hamas cannot win the war. But at this time, we are supporting Israel when the people of Gaza are the ones losing. They're the ones losing the most. Not Hamas, not Israelis, the people of Gaza. So the concern right now is where do we go? What happens? Well, I want to show you what the spokesperson John Kirby had to say. Look at this. Look at this right here. He says, if you think the cost of supporting Ukraine is high now, just imagine how much higher it's going to be, not just in national treasure, but in American blood, if he, Vladimir Putin, starts going after one of our NATO allies. We will take our Article 5 commitments very seriously. Goes on to say, American boots would very much have to be involved if Mr. Putin is allowed to have this strategic victory in Ukraine and then perhaps go after one of our NATO allies. So that is what he's saying. Keep in mind that this is in Ukraine. The Israel and Hamas war, the United States is being pulled into the Red Sea as our bodyguard, as our security guard, to get ships through. And in this instance, if Russia wins this war between them and Ukraine, the issue is, what if Russia doesn't stop there? They continue on, and then they try to invade or they attack one of our NATO allies. The United States will have to step in. This is where the U.S. military says that they will have to strike in order to just ensure that the American people are safe. That is concerning. Okay? Now, here's where things are at this time. Being that the Ukraine aid faltered the other day in the Senate, President Biden is signaling that he's willing to make a deal on border security because he now understands. First off, Republicans are saying that border security is the utmost importance. We have to deal with that first because that is allowing people here into the United States that shouldn't be here. Okay? Not saying that people should not migrate to the United States, but if you have people coming into the United States with bad intentions, we need to stop that. So President Biden now knows there's so much on the line for this funding for Ukraine, because if, according to President Zelensky, okay, president of Ukraine, he is saying that if Ukraine doesn't receive any additional funding from the United States, Russia is likely to win this war. So he's really putting our backs against the wall, that we have to do something for them or else they will lose the war. And based off all the other NATO members, if the United States allows Russia to win this war with Ukraine, it could create chaos in the near future. So, That's where we're at this time. The United States has to step up. President Biden has to step up. We have to do more, or else there will be chaos for years to come. So that's what we got for you guys today. As always, if you have any questions, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. But as always, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing. I'll see you guys on the next one.